Okay, so this is from Roadie Arc. So a long while back, we went to visit a friend of my mother's. She was in the final stages of life, suffering from cancer. Around 11:45 a.m., I felt the clawing of what I can only describe as a dog's claws across upholstery. I lifted my head to look around the room, thinking maybe their two dogs needed to be let out. I found that both of their dogs were asleep at the foot of the couch. Ooh! Puzzled, I continued to scan the room. My vision rested upon their fireplace mantel, where they had a little porcelain figure of dogs resting upon boxes holding the cremated remains of prior loved pets. I thought nothing of it at the time, but after finding nothing out of place, I slowly eased my head back down on the couch. The very moment my head hit the pillow, there it was again. Scratch, scratch, scratch. No sound. Just the feeling of those vibrations rippling through the couch right behind my knee. I jolted up, both dogs still asleep on either side of the couch. Being sufficiently freaked out, I phoned a friend to help ease my mind and explain things to them. They mentioned the idea of shadow people. Of course they did. You're well, like, you call a friend, and I 100% am a troll. I would do this too. You would call me and be like, man, it's creepy here, and I'm like, really? Well, have you heard of insert like demon thing here? They mentioned the idea of shadow people, figures that linger on the edge of your vision, feeding on the emotions of fear to stay tethered to our realm, something like that. Spooky. I like that. Would be a good game. Like the monster only appears in your peripheral. That'd be creepy. I stayed up and turned on the television. I put on Family Guy episodes to lighten the mood and try to take my mind off of things. The feeling of clawing at me as if dogs wish to be let out. I needed to think of something else. Just as I started to get tired enough to lie down again, I noticed movement down the hallway. A tall, dark figure went darting up the stairs. The type of movement in which you skip a stair as you bound your way up quickly. Her husband was a tall, slender man, so I thought nothing of it, going upstairs to check on his wife. Recalling the previous feelings and odd sensations, I wrote a note on my phone to ask him if he went upstairs at 12:30, right between episodes of Family Guy. His response, no. He told me that he did not go upstairs at that time, or even quickly. It was at 11 that night, and he even looked into the room to check up on us. The nurses told him that her condition was worse and the time was close. 11:11 p.m. That's the time she passed. My whole body went flush as I recalled the events of the night and put them into a timeline. 11:11. 11:45, I felt these odd sensations of dogs trying to get my attention. 12:30, a dark figure darts up the stairs. No one else in the household fits that description of a dark, tall, slender figure. The nurse is short and on the larger side. The only other tall individual would be my father, tall but large. Then I recalled the phone call with my friend, shadow people. Perhaps one there all along with the spirit of past furry friends to shepherd her soul into the afterlife. To this day, recalling this event makes the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. Dude, that's crazy. You should put that on No Sleep. The No Sleep Reddit. That's pretty good. It was Shadow Sauce. Always trolling people in their homes. Crazy. Crazy. And PT, the enemy, is behind you at all times, even though you never can see it. What is PT? I see PT and I think physical therapy. I'm sure that's not what you mean. You absolutely see Shadow doing that to troll someone. Right. The demo for the Silent Hill Kojima was working on. Wait, another Silent Hill? Dude, one time I was like sleeping, laying in bed, and I think I had a headache, or I was getting one, but I looked over at the other side of the bed and I saw, you know, when your TV is like static, like it's got the white noise. I saw the figure of a person standing there, but it was just static. But it was like the shape of a person. And I was like, what? And I like got my glasses and like sat up and like looked at it and it was gone. I was like, what the fuck? So I kind of went, well, maybe I'm getting a migraine, and that was a migraine aura. Visual migraines are wild. Yeah, I think it was a migraine, but I don't know, man. Dude, my grandpa told me like the creepiest story. My grandpa, I went to visit. So this was a long time ago. This was like over 10 years ago. 15 years ago? I don't know, but I went to my grandparents' house and was talking to my grandpa. I don't remember how we got onto this subject, but he was like, I think I saw, or he didn't say I think, he was like, I saw a ghost woman. And I was like, what, like really? And anytime, I swear my grandparents' house was haunted to heck, and anytime we would ever mention anything, I think my grandpa was just like, y'all are silly, like it's not really ghosts. So he was convinced after this event. And what happened was is that he got up So they had put cameras over the driveway and like to see the front yard, and it had a motion light linked to it. So if something moved in the yard, the light would come on, right? But I think the video was recording all the time. And my grandpa said he got out of bed in the middle of the night and he walked past the television that had the feed from the security camera over the driveway. And he saw a woman standing in the driveway wearing like a white dress, and that she was completely white. Like he said, she was almost glowing, and he thought it was the light from the motion light, but the motion light was actually off. When he looked, he said he looked really hard at the feed, and he just sees this woman standing there, and she's like facing the house. She's like staring at the house, and he noticed that it was completely dark, so the light wasn't on. The light had not come on, but he could see this woman. She was like glowing, right? He said she was lit up, and he's like figured out that she was like glowing, and I was like, what the heck? That's crazy. And he said that she just looked up at the camera at him, and he was like, ooh. And I think he went, nope, and he like walked away from it and then came back, and then she was gone. She's completely gone. But yeah, that's like the scariest one. And it's so funny because he never believed us, because we saw like shadowy figures and stuff all the time, and like shit would break, and like there was all this insanity all the time. And then when he saw that, he was like, no, y'all are right. It's like, there's something going on. Something crazy. And this house was built in the 70s, I want to believe in the afterlife spirit. I don't know. I've heard a lot of stuff, and I've seen a lot of stuff. Never really seen stuff like that personally. The only other time I've experienced something like that is when you got lost in the forest when you were a kid. What happened? No, you have to tell. What'd you see? What'd you hear? What'd you smell? What was it? Was it the Wendigo? Are you infected? Used to watch Ghost Hunters, enjoyed them a lot because they go to find answers instead of just taking everything at face value. The Wendigo! Got lost when I was like 4 years old, ended up following a butterfly that you stated was my Aunt Winna. She had passed away a few years before. What? That's crazy. Saw the Hat Man once. You saw a man in a hat? How horrifying. What's the Hat Man? We're sharing spooky stories, Gajinkas. Have you ever seen anything supernatural? Ooh. It's spooky month. Did he sell you hats? I need to hear your paranormal stories. Oh yeah, so also my grandparents' house was next to a graveyard, and my theory was that it was just haunted because there's a graveyard. I don't know. So I will also sell you hats. Sweats profusely. Did he sell you hats? I will also sell you hats. You know, nothing haunting ever happened to me in America, but overseas so many times. Wait, what, really? That's cool. Telling family stories. Are we? Yes! I told them about when our grandpa saw the ghost lady in the driveway. Did you remember that? Did he tell you that one? I don't know if he told you about that. He kind of had me. It was funny because we were like alone when he told me about it. He was like, looked around and he's like, so guess what happened? And I'm like, what? The camera got bent downwards? Did it really? I don't remember the camera getting bent. You remember the next morning. What happened the next morning? I don't think he told me about that. I know that he said that he saw a lady look up at the camera that was like glowing. He went out in the morning and it was broken facing the ground. Wait, no, I do remember him telling me that. What the fuck? That adds so much creepiness. I forgot that detail. I do remember him telling me that. We literally threw it away after that. Yeah, I would too. Haunted camera is haunted. Don't bring it in the house. Just throw it in the dumpster. Oh man, that's crazy. Yeah, I would be in my grandparents' living room, like sitting there watching TV or whatever, and then like just see a dark figure in the doorway. I'd be like looking at the TV, and then I'd see it in my peripheral vision, and I'd look over, and it would like move real quick, and I was like, what the fuck? And I would get up and go look, and there was nobody. There's no one. I would look behind doors. I would look under furniture. I would look in closets. I wouldn't find anyone. But then I would go sit on the couch and it would happen again. And I was like, what the fuck? Not to be crazy, but just absolutely unexplainable things would very blatantly happen a lot to us. I kept telling them, Rude, I'm glad you're here because like literally it was so haunted. It was the most haunted house ever. It was wild. This is interesting. Lore dive into Luna and Rude. Yeah, no, it was crazy. One time, I don't know if Rune remembers this. Was this the house where you went in some years back and black mold just poured out of the ceiling? Yes! Yes! So if you guys want to know, years after all of these hauntings, I went into that house and the ceiling had opened and there was just like black shit had just poured out of the ceiling and it was all over the floor. And I was like, what the fuck? I know you were still living there. It was crazy. I hope you don't have lung damage. Jeez. There's a white squirrel that has shown up in my aunt's backyard each time a family member passes. It baffles me. What the heck? That's wild. That's wild. A white squirrel. I've never seen a white squirrel. I've only seen black ones. Black, brown, and like red ones. That's wild. Yeah, the black mold was like an issue. But when Rune was little, I was babysitting, right? And we were on the couch watching TV and she was like standing on the couch like bouncing around and I was young as well, so I just let her. We played couch trampoline a lot, but all of a sudden the I don't remember what happened first. It was like I just got this weird feeling and I was like, what is that? And all of a sudden this like air hit us in the face as we were sitting next to each other and I could hear it. It was like whoosh, and it was like this cold air that just like hit me in the face. And I remember Rune was like and she was like terrified and she couldn't explain because she was little. She couldn't explain like why she was terrified and I was just holding her and I was like, I felt that too. I don't know what that was. And she was just like freaking out and I was inwardly freaking out and I was like, it's okay. I think I got a knife. No, like if it's stabbable, I'm gonna stab it. It's wild to me how many spooky stories people have. You have almost none personally. To be honest, you throw hands, so you think all of that spooky shit are like, damn, never mind, scratch them off the list. Dude, it can be so wild. I think because I have lived in very haunted houses and very not haunted houses. And I do think that the environment, the location, things like that, they really do matter with this stuff. Whoa, that's crazy, Gajinkus. Area history. Yeah, I think so. Like my grandparents' house was near a graveyard. Limestone can increase things happening too. Really? Parisian ghoul. Let's see, what did you say, Gajinkus? Well, when I was in France, I was exploring the Chateau de Chambord. Is that how that's pronounced? The tour group. It was the last time slot for the day. I kept feeling like a cold, strong hand on my shoulder. Felt like I got possessed because I was frozen in place and my tour group didn't notice me gone until much later. And I was just frozen in place. I felt like I had this icy grip on me, keeping me in place. Like when I tried to move, it felt like claws digging into my skin and it only stopped to find you completely pale, sweating your ass off. The fucked up part is you don't even remember why you were stuck there. Just remember pure terror, like it felt as if I tried to move away, my spirit would have been torn away because the chill was like no other. No voices in my ear, yet I could feel nothing but its malice. Like the person who came to find me thought someone was behind me because there was a massive shadow looming over me and cast it over my face. I distinctly remember scaring the ever-living crap out of them when I finally did talk. Like I choked out a whimper and gasped like, yeah, I'm good. And they grabbed my wrist. We got the fuck out of there. That's crazy. Fucking Parisian ghoul is right. Holy crap. That's crazy. That's scary. That's so scary. I've had sleep paralysis a bunch of times and I have seen like a figure at the bottom of the bed or like someone on all fours like crawl up to my side of the bed and like look up at me, but I'm pretty sure those are just like sleep paralysis, like I'm awake but I'm not awake. I'm just like seeing shit. You know what I mean? That's what I think anyway. But I'll lay there like that for like a long time. It's really, I hate it. I haven't had that happen in a while. I think since living in the house I live in now, I haven't had sleep paralysis. So take from that what you will. Maybe it was a ghost the whole time. Maybe that actually was a problem because I haven't had it since I've lived here. And there's also been like not really anything supernatural except for that voice I heard a few weeks ago. That was creepy. But for all I know, that was like someone wandering around the neighborhood lost and high or something. I don't know. Ew. Sleep paralysis figure I saw was moving too fast for me to see. Oh, really? If I believed with any sort of certainty that the supernatural was real, I'd go full Constantine so fast, right? Believe that spirits are real. think there are things out there that can't logically be explained. Some with cryptids. Is it cryptid? Have a good handful of experiences, all from that one house. Never had another since leaving it. I don't know, man. So it's only happened to me in really old buildings, but it has happened to me outside of our grandparents' house. But it's only like old ass buildings. The only real auditory hallucination I've ever had was one time I was down working in my dad's shop. I thought I heard him call my name, but he was up at the house. It was the skinwalkers! Shadow, run! You gotta run! Ruin, what were some of the experiences that you had? Because I had many, but like I said, most of them were like, I see a shadowy figure in the doorway, or like I'd be sitting there and a shadowy figure would like walk into the room, but it was always in my peripheral vision, and when I looked at it, it wouldn't be there. I've had auditory hallucinations quite a few times, and you have a few stories about that, and you guess that can count as spooky. So, are you saying auditory hallucinations like you heard something and you heard it, but you don't have an explanation for it, so you're calling it a hallucination? I had one really scary one time at my grandparents' house when I was like a teenager. Turned the corner into the hallway to head to my room. My door was open. And floating there in my room was a spectral white thing, like floating in the wind, flowing in the wind. Like the upper torso of someone. Turns out my mom washed a white button-up dress shirt for me and hung it in my room. The window was open and a breeze was moving it lightly. I was frozen in fear. And the relief I felt finding out what it was. I've heard people call my name. It's a neuron backfiring, same as deja vu. But what if that's not what it is? What if someone's calling your name? Someone that you can't see, but they can see you. You've heard conversations of people in the past within the walls of my bathroom of my current place. You feel like it's your brain processing the sounds as that. Sometimes I hear singing in the water. Does anyone ever get that? Like if you turn the tap on, like especially with something loud, like a shower, it sounds like singing. It's like, it like, you ever hear that? Does anybody hear that, or am I fucking crazy? I'm curious what would happen if you'd walk into the farmhouse. It's 100 years old, had multiple generations lived in it. I would well, I mean, it depends. Not all ghosts are unfriendly, you know? At my grandparents' house, I felt like the ghosts, like we'll just say that they're ghosts, were not friendly. Like it was bad vibes. But I've lived in a house since then that was quite old that just had this feeling of like there's an old lady ghost in here that's like curious what you're doing. I don't know how to explain it, but that was the impression that I got. Because it wasn't like shit flying off the walls and shadowy figures and like someone looking at you through the door, and then when you open the door there's nobody there, like stuff like that. Or like my name being called very loudly, very angrily. I don't know if I told you guys about that one. The part in Silent Hill F where the main protag hears her dad bad-mouthing her over the radio static towards the start. Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean. Okay. It's just because I can't hear anyone else over my own singing in the shower. As a kid, I used to hear conversations in the front while trying to sleep at my grandma. I always assumed it was her or something, but she was asleep every night. There was no one up. Crazy! One evening, I was watching Harry Potter on the TV, sitting on the floor like kids do. There was a decently weighted knickknack on the table. The TV was sitting pretty far back, and Mom was at the PC next to the TV, small bedroom. Without warning, the figure came flying off the table and hit me so hard in the chest that it made me cough a bunch before I could explain to Mom what happened. But she saw it and immediately got up to check how the fuck it could have flown off the table. We couldn't figure it out. It didn't fall, it flew forcefully. I said that shit would fly off of shelves in that house. Like I remember being in the kitchen and seeing something just like fly across the room, and I was like, what? How did that happen? How? Like the magnets on the freaking refrigerator would be like on the other side of the room randomly, and I'm like, what? Like some of them were not very strong, so they would fall, but then other ones would like fly off, and it was like, how is this in the sink right now? Like that happened, and you don't have an answer for it. I feel like Mom told me about that. That's actually insane. It was crazy. It was like full on poltergeist. Like I'm in the dining room and I just see like there's a paper on the counter that just like flies across the room, and I'm like, what the fuck? What was that? It reminds me at my grandfather's house, my cousin and I had our PCs make a Discord call each other randomly. When we go to check, my photo sitting on a dresser had fell forward. Like it was leaning back on those own swing out arms, and it fell forward, and it was only my picture, no one else's. They didn't like you. The ghost didn't like you. It's so weird because I feel like, you know, assuming that there is like some sort of supernatural force and it's ghosts or whatever, that like They decide they don't like somebody. They're like, I don't like you in particular. Throws something at you, screams your name in the night loudly, and freaks you the fuck out. The audio jump scared me. It was during Thanksgiving. It's called Working Until You Die. Ooh. No. No spooky stories off the top of my head. Your grandma pranked you in the afterlife with your last story. Did you type it? Yeah, here, let me read this. Back in my parents' motherland of Iran, we were in my paternal grandmother's former estate. She's long passed away, but we went to her place not long after the fact. Stayed the night after seeing our aunts because it was kind of in the middle of nowhere. There were neighbors, but they were old people who minded their own business, and it's like they weren't even there because no one made a peep. With all the land between us. When you stayed there in the desert, the AC actually died. We were like, God damn it, and had to turn on the fans. The fans kept sounding like a piece of paper was going in it, or something was flying in it. Kept spooking us awake, and we thought it was flies or something. When we woke up, it was a fucking red liquid seeping from the rotors of the fans, and we were like, what the fuck? Looked up at the ceiling to see if anything was leaking, and like, the fans were spinning so fast. What the heck? That's crazy. Being half awake, we thought it was the fans fucking up, but it was extremely strange. This red liquid was seeping out from them. It's like, no way this is blood. And to this day, I'm not sure. But if it was, then the fucking ceiling started to bang rapidly. And immediately I grabbed the shovel and ran outside to see what the fuck it was, but it was nothing. I was outside and it kept going. But then the door shut behind me. I was like, okay, stop fucking around with me. My mom and sister weren't answering me because the door was locked. You were like, question. I'm like yelling for them and they didn't answer me until my sister finally opened the door. Like, where were you? And I'm like, I was inside just a moment ago. And she told me with a deadpan face, there was nothing banging on the roof. We just heard you going outside. What? The twist. And at this point, I'm tripped out because they flinched with me when I reacted to something being on the roof. But I felt like at this point I was being fucked with, and right as I'm about to yell at her, the goddamn power goes out. Then it comes back on 10 seconds later, and that was when things stopped acting up. But it was such a mindfuck of a day. It's stuck with me since then. Oh my gosh. That's crazy. That's a good story, Gajinkus. What the heck? So when I was a teenager at my grandparents' house, I was playing on my console. I was playing a video game. I don't know, probably Sonic. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was Blood Rain. I'm not sure. One of those that I played repeatedly. And I'm gonna go brush my teeth and go to sleep. And it's late. I'm such a night owl, right? So it's like 1 a.m. But I was awake. It's not like I had been asleep and like woken up and gotten up. I was awake. And I didn't hear anything. And nobody was up. Everybody else was. And I was walking into the bathroom and I hear a man yell my name from the ceiling. So there was a big fan in the ceiling that had like flaps that if when you turned it on it would like open these flaps so the fan would circulate air. If the fan wasn't on, then those were closed. And I think it was on. I think it was open. And I hear a man that does not sound like my grandfather yell my name, super angry, and it scared the shit out of me. And I ran into the bathroom and I like shut the door and lock it because I'm like convinced that someone's coming after me, but it came from above, right? So it was wild. So I don't hear anything. I open the door. I look. Nothing. I look up in the ceiling fan. I can't see. It's just dark. I can't see. So I go and I open everyone's bedroom doors. I go check on my mom and my sister and my grandparents. I check. I go in the room. I'm like, are you in bed and you're asleep? And they're all asleep. If they had woken up, it probably would have creeped them out that I'm like walking in there. Like, are you sleeping? But like, I had no explanation for it. And to this day, I am not convinced that there wasn't actually someone up there. But I shined like a flashlight up there and I didn't see anyone. So I was like, maybe I'm insane. Maybe I heard nothing. Maybe I didn't hear anything. But I honestly wonder if I shouldn't have woken people up and been like, I just heard something. But so much weird shit happened in that house all the time that I kind of went, I mean, it's just another weird thing. It's just another weird thing. You had the same thing happen to you as a teenager years later. Did you really? Playing Silent Hill IRL? Yeah. Yeah, I got used to it. I just got used to weird stuff happening. I got used to things being moved around in the same spot, really? Like under that ceiling fan, because that's where I was like underneath it when I heard it. Just the house being a house again. It haunted as fuck. The attic fan. Yeah. Yeah, the fan was the attic. Like the so if it was a person, it's possible that they were in the attic, they leaned over, yelled at me, and then pulled back, and then I couldn't see them. It's the attic fan in the hallway. Yeah. Maybe the fan was haunted. I wonder, honestly, because since our family hasn't been living in that house, other people have, and they've like completely renovated it, I think. So want to like go there and be like, so is anything weird happen? Anything? Yeah, stuff moving around, maybe? Unnaturally cold in one corner of the room? No? Anyone shout your name in the dark? In the middle of the fucking night? For no reason? No? I used to keep my ceiling vent closed because I was so scared that someone was living in the attic. I actually wondered if someone lived up there. That's what I thought that. I was like, maybe someone's living up there. Like it's a squatter. You went to check the house recently. It's entirely different now. Yeah, they like painted the brick, which is sad. Don't paint brick. Why would you paint brick? Theory is that renovations would stir up activity if it was mild before. It was pretty strong before. So when we moved there, when I was little, they also added a whole new addition to the front. Really? Changed the porch? What the heck? What the heck? When we moved there, when I was little and Rune wasn't born yet, we did a lot of stuff. Like we moved in, we ripped up the carpets, we got new carpets, we like wallpapered and painted and like did all this stuff. Like we did so much. I'm wondering if we stirred up shit, but it wasn't, I don't know, like it didn't, none of this stuff. Well, okay, actually, maybe it did start right away, but it wasn't happening all the time. Because my mom sent me a picture of a drawing that I gave her when I was a kid. And I drew myself in my bed with my bedroom door cracked open with like a black figure in the doorway. This drawing terrifies me. I was a little artiste. But I remember seeing that, which is why I drew it. I remember seeing it. And I think I remembered this happening, like seeing a figure in the doorway, and it was a very large figure. And I think my child brain went, it was probably just my grandpa checking on me when I was sleeping. I just remember that figure being there for like a long time and just like standing there and me not being able to sleep. And you guys wonder why I have problems sleeping. All of this shit would happen at night and you wonder why I don't sleep at night. This is why. Mom has it. I told her to burn it. She should probably burn it. A real horror artist. Oh, and it's so sad. It's like crayon. It's like a child's drawing, and it's the creepiest thing. It's like when they make those, like, oh, the kid is drawing creepy pictures in the movies and TV shows. It's literally one of those. It's literally, literally out of a horror film. You have trouble sleeping too? I've never been able to sleep right. So would you say poodles for auditory hallucinations? I grew up with parents who fought and screamed a lot. And there was an occasion where I heard my mom and dad yelling and screaming at each other in a muffled voice in the bathroom walls of my place. It's so fucking weird. What? That's wild. That's wild. You know what's happened to me recently? This one's sad. This is sad. I apologize. But when Abby was really sick back in July, she was crying. And it took me a month or more to stop hearing that crying. It's a very specific cry that she was doing, like a really sad one. It took me like a month or longer to not hear that all the time when I was sleeping. I don't hear it anymore. And she'll wake up and she'll be like, I need to go potty, and she'll like whine, but it's different. It's a different cry. It's not the same. It took me so long, and I believe that's an auditory hallucination. It's both sad and super creepy at the same time. I know. Let's see, what did you say? Isn't as long ended rather innocently? I was sad about being stuck in Iran as a kid. We went there during that time because Halloween is my favorite holiday. They put together this whole murder mystery, like, made me believe someone in the family offed my uncle because they were fighting a lot after my grandma passed, and I yelled at them to get along, and how I put together my precious time to be there for them. me saying this as a little 8-year-old. He was gone, and it had me thinking my whole family was going to shank me because I truly believe someone did something to him. And in the end, my oldest cousin admitted that he did it and showed me where my uncle was buried. And he then comes out of the ground cosplaying a zombie and scared the ever living shit out of me. He grabbed me by my ankle and yanked me onto my ass. Oh my god, that's great. Your family sounds fantastic. Yeah, I've been having like PTSD. It's not good. Oh man. Now that I'm thinking about it and we're talking about it, I think literally like a lot of my insomnia might be from just not being able to sleep at night. Like shit would happen. Like I remember my hamsters getting loose when they shouldn't have gotten loose. Like they would just be gone and I would find them later. My male hamster was really friendly and he would come crawling out of wherever he was and be like, "Hi," and I'd put him back in his cage because he wanted to get on his wheel. He was like obsessed with his wheel. But my female hamster would like go be a gremlin and hide somewhere. But it was so weird because it was like, how did they get out? Like I went to bed, they were in their cages. Their cages were locked. Everything was fine. I locked my bedroom door. No one could get in. Why are they out? Why are both of them out? Or sometimes it would just be one. And I was like, what the fuck? Because you overthink a lot. And so when something simple and scary happens, my brain is like, oh my god, what if this happened? Oh my god, this is also going to happen. Isn't that so freaky? Sounds like you have anxiety. I do that too. I have intrusive thoughts really badly. Can we do streams like this semi-regularly? I find this interesting. Sure, but you're weird. You find this interesting? No, that's not weird. I'm having fun. I'm very interested in your guys' story. I have a weird one, but like another auditory hallucination I've had is every time I listen to Il Meg's theme in FF14, there's a certain part of the song that sounds like my mom calling my name. I'm always like, huh? And try to respond. And then I'm like, oh wait, no, that's just the song. It's exactly like how she calls your name too. It's so fucking weird. What the heck? You need to link like just that part. Like find the YouTube video and like timestamp it. I mean, unless you don't want people knowing your name. But that's creepy. What the heck? Dude, I enjoy spooky story time. So there was something I was thinking about while I was up with my grandparents' house. My mom told me I used to see shadowy figures at my grandparents' house. The static figure I saw at a different house. Don't recall anything in that song that sounds like Cabin Poodles. I imagine Poodle's mom. Cabin Poodles, you get over here. Take this garbage outside. Right now. I don't know why your mom is... Everyone's mom is Southern in my mind. Because my mom is Southern. Moms are Southern. But, so... At my grandparents' house, I used to see like shadowy figures. I feel like after my sister was born, there was an uptick in like quote unquote activity. I don't know. I've heard that like ghosts will like harass kids. Wait, Rune, is mom watching the stream? No, right? No. Okay, good. I don't want her to. But I feel like when I was a kid, I always felt like I was being watched. I couldn't sleep with the lights off. I had all these problems. When Rune was born, it wasn't until so after Rune was born, I felt like, I don't know, like I was harassed less, but it seemed like it was my sister. Like I would be watching TV and my sister's like a toddler and she's on the floor. I'm a bit older than Rune. She's on the floor playing with her whatever bucket. I don't remember. I feel like she had a bucket that she liked to like stand in and watch TV. And I would see that shadowy figure all the time out of the corner of my eye in the doorway. Like it was watching her and I was like, it was pink. It was a pink bucket. Rune was the cutest child ever. She was so cute. So like I would see this shadowy figure all the time out of the corner of my eye. And I'd be like, and I would get up and I would look. I would look for it. And I wouldn't say anything to Rune. I didn't want to freak her out. You know, she's like 2. But I would like look and I would look. Like I said, I would look behind doors. I would look under beds. I would look everywhere. I'm like, where is this shadowy figure coming from? Because I would see it come from the hallway and stand in the doorway to the living room. I would see that. My theory is that the ghost was in the attic. Okay, like if we're saying it's a ghost, like for devil's advocate, we're saying it's a ghost, okay? So it's a ghost. It lives in the attic. I think it would come down through the attic fan and then it would do its hauntings and throw shit. I remember finding random things in the hallway. Now that I'm thinking about it, dude, the memories are flooding back. Oh my god, this house was so bloody haunted. So I would find shit. I would like get up and try to go to my room, and I'm like, why are there like random things from the bathroom counter just on the floor? Like, who did this? And I would have to pick it up. I'd have to pick everything up because our grandmother got Parkinson's, so she would trip. So we couldn't have shit in the floor, but something was like throwing things onto the floor, and I'm like, and I started to get mad. I had to crash out because I got upset because I felt like this ghost is harassing us. It's like constantly watching my sister throwing things on the floor for my grandma to trip on. So I'm like yelling up at the attic, like, can you just leave us alone? Like, I was so mad. I feel like it stopped for a little bit. Makes sense it would retreat to the least occupied room. Attic makes sense. Yeah, we never went up there. Never. I mean, a human being could have been living up there and we wouldn't know. That's how little we went up there. Should have set up cameras around the house that made the next Paranormal Activity movie. That wasn't super easy to do at the time. Like, when did smartphones come out? When was the first phone with a camera? Camera phone. So like the first camera solution, so 97? Oh, we just didn't have them. I guess, was it? Oh, 2000 was the first commercial release. So I'm trying to think of when all this happened. We didn't really have like a lot of money to spend on cameras and stuff, and we didn't have smartphones at the time. Or I didn't have. Doggo doesn't like spooky stories. Yeah. I think someone's outside. Go with VHS, makes it even more spooky with the low quality. So I think we had camera, a VHS camera. So like, we had one, but they were really big and clunky. Like, let me see if I can find. We had like a big one, like one of these. If that link works for you. I think your family had what, like one camcorder for the longest time. Yeah, like, and they were expensive and like hard to use. Like, it was just not really feasible to set cameras up. I mean, maybe later, because I feel like I had like a little point and click digital camera at some point. I don't know. It didn't record video, but same with mine. We had the one where it had to be plugged into the wall and you could put a VHS tape directly into it. Yeah, like that. So it wasn't really like feasible to record all of this, which is unfortunate because man, there was so much. It was a lot. It was a lot. But I remember getting upset, like crashing out at some point and being like, I'm yelling into the void basically. Oh, one of those. Yeah. Thing was like nearly $1,000 too, which was insane back then. Dude, $1,000 was so much money back then. Like, it's more than twice that if we think today's money. That's why I liked ghost hunters. They go in with equipment and look for mundane reasons for things. Yeah, they're like, clearly there's a leaky faucet and that's why your dishes keep flying off of the cupboard and getting broken. Right? The leaders were plumbers. They were. I remember ghost hunters. I do. I swear it was a poltergeist. Who else has a spooky story? Yeah, do you have a spooky story that's happened to you? I once woke up in a field naked with no clue what happened or how I got there. Was it a ghost? Or was it alcohol? You decide. Ghost versus alcohol sounds like a killer album name. What's the scariest story you've had from that house? I think the one that might have scared me the most was my name being screamed at me from the ceiling. It might have been that one. Actually, you know what? When I was a little kid, the figure in the door, I would see. So I think I didn't elaborate on that. I was like 5, would be trying to sleep, and my bedroom door would open, and I would just see a very black, completely, like, the hall light was on, and I would just see a completely black figure. Like, can't see face or eyes, no features, nothing. That would, like, the door would open and this figure would come in. And it would happen, like, every night. It wasn't just once. It was, like, every night. And I would lay there fucking terrified. And like I said, I would, in my kid's brain, because my grandpa would be like, I'm going to bed, I have to work in the morning, and he would go to bed. But my kid brain was like, that figure is really big. Maybe it's my grandpa getting up to check on me, even though that wasn't really a thing that he did, unless he heard like a sound, you know? At my house directly, as a teenager, there's a murderer across the street, a few houses down. Oh no. That happened where I used to live in California. Something like that happened there. And I was like, why are there so many cop cars here? What's that white, like, CSI van? Oh, the realization hit me, and I was like, I'm going inside. I'm going home. No, no, no. They never caught him either. Yeah, scary monkus. I used to live in the Bay Area, but I've lived in the super exurbs now as it's money. Yeah, I don't live anywhere near the Bay Area anymore. That's why I talk about it, because I'm like, I don't live there. I'm not even close to it. So if anyone was like, I'm going to find you, you live in the Bay Area. Nope. Not even. I liked it, though. I would go back. I don't even live in the same state anymore. Oh, really? There was this spooky story that I found on Reddit. It was the Smiling Man. And it started as a let's not meet, I think. My favorite, like, spooky Reddit stories are the let's not meet. Because those are the real ones. And they did, like, a video of it. They reenacted it, made it like a video, but it's not the same. The what ones? The Reddit, that's let's not meet. Yeah. Let's Not Meet has some of the best stories because those are the ones that are true. I'm pretty sure that these aren't faked. I mean, they could be faked. One of my favorite Let's Not Meet stories is the one of the guy in the bushes where this guy's delivering pizza to this girl and he had to like pee. And he gets out of his car and she's like, called him and she's like, I'm not home yet. I'm down the street. I'm coming. And he's like, okay. It's just to pee really bad. So he's like, maybe I can pee real quick in the bushes before she gets here. And he pees in the bushes and he pees on a man that was hiding in the bushes. And the guy runs away all covered in pee. And he's like, why is there a man in the bushes? And then it freaks him out really bad. And then he sees like a bag on the ground and he opens the bag and it's got like a knife and like rope and like duct tape. And he's like, what the fuck? So he calls 911. The girl's still not home yet. He calls 911. He's like, what do? I just peed on this guy. And the person's like, wait, what? And so he explains everything. And they're like, make sure that you don't leave that girl alone. So he sits in his car and he's waiting and he's waiting. And he waits for her to walk up and he opens the door and he's like, get in the car. Get in the car with me. And she's like, what? He's like, I'm the pizza guy. And she doesn't want to get in the car. And he's like, please, I'm on the phone with the police. Get in the car. So thankfully she does, because she hears the dispatch person. And then there are sirens in the distance. So they hear the sirens. So she's like, oh, you're serious. Okay, so she gets in the car and they wait for the cops. And the cops come and they had found the guy. You know, because he's covered in pee. It was pretty obvious it was him. It was her ex, and he was planning on kidnapping her that night. So he saved her by peeing on him and having the wherewithal to go, what's in this bag that was in the bushes with the guy? It's a really funny story because she's okay, but it's scary and hilarious. Yeah. Deserved. I agree, deserved. Yeah, he went to jail for intent. And I think, like, scaring the pizza guy was also a charge. This is why I can pee on stuff outside so much. You can never be too careful. Exactly. Always pee in the bushes. Fucking weird-ass exes, dude. Holy fuck. Yeah, a lot of exes are exes for a reason, right? It just depends on who you're talking to. Which ex is the reason that the ex is a thing. But yeah, I enjoy that story just because he saved her. But it's scary. It's scary. What's the scariest story you've had that doesn't involve the supernatural? Oh God. When I lived in the Bay Area, I lived in an apartment complex that was near like a creek. And the creek had one side of it that was really wooded. And there was like a lot of... So I don't know that this guy was homeless, but I know that he came from over there. And there was like a homeless compound in like this wooded area next to this creek. So I was walking my dog. This was my old dog. Before I had Abby, I had like a big dog. And I was walking her down this trail that was near that creek. And I walked past this man. And something about him weirded me out. I was like, you know, he's like staring at me a little too hard. You know, I'm just like, ugh. So I keep walking. And I feel my hair standing up on end all of a sudden. So I turn and look, and he was behind me, like, how far is 100 yards or 50 yards? He was, like, pretty far away, but he had turned around and was following me. But from, like, really far away, but I could tell he was staring at me, which made me turn around to see. And I was like, oh, that's alarming. So, yeah. So she was like 50 pounds. This is my big dog. I posted a picture of her before. She's like black and white. I usually don't say her name because I don't want Abby to be like, where? Because she loved her. But she was like a pit bull mix. I was told that she was a border collie lab, but when she grew up, she looked like a pit. But she had big perky ears, like kind of like Abby. She looked like a big version of Abby. She was she had long legs and she was pretty big. So I needed to go back the other way, and I was like, man, I gotta like get past this guy, I guess. So I'm not super alarmed yet. I'm like, well, I don't know for a fact that he's following me. Maybe he's just staring at me and it's just creeping me out. I don't know. So I double back. I got to a certain point where I didn't want to continue because it like went off into more wilderness I didn't want to walk through. So I double back, I'm walking, have my dog in my right hand, the leash in my right hand. And so I'm walking towards this guy and he's just staring at me. And I got close to him, right? So we're gonna pass each other at this point. And I go like he's like walking in the middle and he like won't move. So I go onto his left, or not his left, it's his right, it was my left. I go to like the left so that the dog is in between us because I'm like, hopefully she's a deterrent. She wasn't aggressive, but she might bite the shit out of him. I don't know. I hadn't been in that situation with her, so I didn't know. I hadn't been in that situation like at all before. So I walked past him. He didn't do anything, but he was staring at me. So I was like, interesting. So I keep going and I'm trying to be very aware of where he is. And I look back and he's following me. And I'm like, okay, not great. So then I decide to try to lose him. I go off of the trail. I go into like the back part of some apartments that were right there. And he's following me. And he ended up going a different direction. And the way that he went, I was like, oh, he's going to try to head me off, I think. So I went a different way. And whenever I went like around a building. This is so hard to describe because this neighborhood was like a maze. Like there were these little buildings and little pathways in between all of them. And he was trying to head me off, so I went like the different direction. So eventually I get back into like the complex that I lived in, and he was there in the parking lot, just standing in one spot looking around, like looking for me. So it was like he knew where I lived, and I was like, what? And this guy, generally speaking, the area where I was walking the dog, it was like people would be wearing athletic gear because they're jogging, and he didn't have any of that. And he looked, like I said, he had come from that area where all the homeless people lived, and he looked like dirty. So I was like, well, I think he's from over there, which didn't alarm me necessarily at first, but it was just scary because it was like he could just disappear. You know what I mean? Like if he did something. So I was very wary, but he was just standing there waiting for me. And I was like, what the heck? So I ended up, because he saw me, so it's not like I could, run away or anything. This is in broad daylight. All of this takes place in like the middle of the day. It's wild. Fucking ugh, dude. Yeah, it was scary. So what I end up doing is, like standing up to my full height and just staring at him and making sure that he knows that if he messes with me, I'm going to be a problem. Okay. This is what I was taught years prior in self-defense class, that if you're a problem, like people tend to not mess with you. So I end up gathering myself up to my full height, and I'm just staring him down as I walk past him, and he just stood in the middle of the parking lot, and he was just watching me, and he was just like, and he ended up leaving and not doing anything, but it was scary. There was nobody around. It was like the most empty, like nobody out walking, like nobody out, no one anywhere. It was just me and my dog and this like guy. I was like, what the heck, dude? It was so scary. But I didn't see him again. I don't know where he went after that. When my dog is scared, I'm scared. Dude, same. Oh, yeah. So my dog didn't like this guy. She was like, brrr, when she saw him. Which I think also deterred him. Probably more so than me being like, what we can do, huh? We can do. I'm a fight. Honestly, I think I think that my dog being like, and her being like part pit, and he was like, maybe not. When I lived in Melbourne, my biggest fear was getting carjacked with my daughters in the car. I kept a Bowie knife under the seat of my car. Oh my God. You're like the, what's his name? There was that movie with was it Crocodile Dundee or what? Yeah, Crocodile Dundee. You got the big knife. Dude, if my dog ever like growled at someone like that, I was like, this is a bad person. We know this is a bad person. Because that same dog saw a man sitting in a wheelchair waiting for someone, and she was like, oh my God. Hi. And she like ran up to him and she was like, oh my God, oh my God. And she was like so friendly. Like she was so friendly. So if she ever saw someone that she didn't like, I was like, there's red flag. Red flag. Because there was another time where a guy was like hanging out in the bushes outside one of the apartment complexes I used to walk in front of. So my neighborhood it was like my complex was kind of a big circle in the middle, and then there were all these pathways throughout it, and then a street that went around, and then there was a street on the outside of it, and there were sidewalks on the other side of the street, and then there was like an apartment complex on the other side of the street. There was one next to that. There was this complex like south of mine. There was one west of it. There was one even further down west of that one. Like there were so many apartments / condos in this area. And I was walking one day and this dude was in the bushes and he like popped out. He like popped out of the bushes next to me. And maybe this one should be the scariest story because I don't know what he was trying to do. Oh no, Poodles, I do have a scary story for you. This one's it was a bad one. It was creepy. But anyway, this guy pops out of the bushes. I didn't think he was after me or anything, but holy crap, my dog lost her shit. And she was big. And so like I said, she's a big dog. It was hard for me to hold her back. And this dude was like, ooh. I don't know what he was doing. I did not think he was up to no good. But my dog sure thought so. She was so mad at him. I didn't see him, so I didn't have time to ever get scared about it. Maybe bro took a piss easy. That's what I thought. I was like, were you just pooping or what? Why are you in the bushes? Why are people being weird? Yeah, literally. Literally, Poodles. Why are people so fucking weird? Suggest both a mace and a shield. Yeah. You'd be the Dreeper. So, Poodles. Did I ever tell you about the UPS guy? Dude, I have had a lot of bad encounters now that we're talking about it. Creeper. I didn't. So one day, I was at home by myself. I had both doggies. I had Big Doggy and I had Abby. So, the creeper emote. So I hear a knock at the door. And it's the UPS guy. I thought it was weird that he like was standing there with the package instead of like putting it on the ground and walking away. Like usually they would put the package down, ring the doorbell, and then go back to their truck. But what he did was he was holding it, and it was some mundane thing. I don't think it was anything like that needed to be signed for. I know I didn't sign for anything. So he rings the doorbell, and I open the door, and I go to take the package, and he tries to get in. He tried to get in. Like I went to close, like I took the package, and I went to close the door, and he like put his leg in the doorway, and I was like, huh? And he's like trying to force his way in, and this was a big dude. He was like 6'5". He was huge. He was like tall. And I was like, oh, wow, you're trying to get into my house, huh? Like, about the time that I have that thought, my big doggy lost her shit, and then Abby started barking her head off at this guy. And my big doggy did this thing that she would do this. She would do this sometimes. But she would, like, run and, like, hit the door with both legs. Actually, no, she didn't do that normally. She did it, like, I remember another time of her doing that. But this was like a thing that she did. And she like runs and she like slams into the door. So it hit his leg. And I was like, wow, what are you doing? Like, my reaction time with this whole situation was awful. I don't remember if I had just woken up or like what the problem was, but I'm like, you're trying to get into my house, what? And then the dog is like trying to attack him. And I'm like, whoa, what's... And she's like, bruh. And then Abby's in the background, like barking and growling and barking and growling. And so Big Doggy is getting like in between me and this guy. And he's like in the doorway and he's just like, ugh. geez, and like leaves. And I was like, what the hell just happened? What was that? What were you trying to do, sir? My goodness. I know, it's crazy. Why are people like this? Just leave me alone. Yeah, Case. Just leave me alone. Leave Brittany alone. So I don't know what would have happened if I didn't have Big Doggy at that time. Yeah, he was like, ugh. Like, he got all, like, upset. I'm like, you're trying to get into my house. What do you think she's gonna do? Like, she wasn't an aggressive dog, but she was definitely a dog that, like, if she perceived danger, she would act. You got a spooky story from here for once? Oh, really? Dan, are there spooky stories in Canada? A friend of mine and his family kept seeing what looked like a World War II infantryman with head trauma in their house. Kept spooking them. What? That's insane. Are you really? Like, not even a shadow figure, like just the whole person. The previous job, I was in this newer unit that was very poorly built, so its AC never worked right, and its back door was never hinged right. When a hurricane passed, we actually got flooded. I swear when I went outside, I saw a lot of debris, but then the power went out, and I was like, oh my god, this is a nightmare. Trying my best to contain the water, and then I hear water rushing above me, and I'm like, question. The ceiling tile fell by me, and there was a dead rat, and it scared me so bad. Oh no! Have you ever, like, seen a person, like, standing, like, seen someone out and about, like, really out of place, just, like, standing there? Have you ever seen that? I've seen that before. I saw, I think, a man, like, in a suit, just, like, standing on the street, and I was like, who's that? And the people with me were like, who, where? And I was like, that man? It's like, you don't see him? And then they'd be like, oh yeah, I do. And I'm like, do you? Like, you just said who? Never seemed intentional, more like he was just watching the house. Friend is a military MP reservist, figured he was just guarding the house of a fellow service member. Wow, crazy. Nature demands respect, and if you don't, she will come and take it from you. Another friend of mine for years had that dark thing crouched in your bedroom door and staring at you all night incident every night, and he hated it. See, that shit is why I couldn't sleep, and I had to have lights on, because I would see that. And I was like, no. And so when I was driving to Iquique, there's some little redhead kid just standing in a field. It was kind of creepy, like Children of the Corn vibes. It was Malachi, the paralysis demon. I was talking about that earlier. I have had sleep paralysis multiple times and seen crap and been like freaked out, and I can't get out of it. It's so hard to get yourself out of it. But I haven't really had sleep paralysis in recent years, and I don't know what's changed. To stop the ghosts from wanting to hang around them. Right? Like, this house is so nice. I'm going to live here and haunt the shit out of this place. This is not tofu dredge construction. What's that? What does that mean? That's what I would do, right? Like, how many castles are haunted by, like, everyone who used to live around the castle? They were like, I want to live in that castle. So then, you know, they're ghost, and they're like, my time is now. So they go to the castle and haunt that shit. That's what I would do. Here's a joke that ghosts were scared of my grandma. She'd go and hang out with people in places they'd complain about having activity, and nothing would happen the entire time she was physically present. But a couple hours after she left, things would just start happening again. You know what? I have had this weird thing happen where I have seen something years before it happened, and then it will happen, and I go, I saw this. Yeah, so one time, you know, I said my grandparents' house, I would usually see like a shadow, like a dark figure. Well, one time, I think I was standing in the living room doing something. I don't know if I was messing with the fireplace or like the shelves on the mantle. I don't know. I had this thing where I would go like reorganize things on the shelves. I mean, partly because stuff was always flying off of them, right? And my mom was on the couch, and she was like, wait, what is that? And I turned and I saw like a white figure in the doorway, and it went away. And I was like, what was that? And she was like, that's what I'm asking. And so we get up and we look around, and there's no one there. There's no one there at all. I'm like, that's weird, because usually it's like a shadow figure, but this one was white, and it was smaller than the shadow figure. And so years later, fast forward years later, I'm visiting my grandparents, and I get the feeling of being watched. I was in the living room. I was like sitting on the floor. I was kind of in the same place that I had been before, I think. And out of the corner of my eye, I see that white figure again in the same spot. It was about the same size. And I was like, "Huh." And I looked, and you know who was standing there? It was my grandma. And she had been kind of sick, so she was really pale, and she had on like a very, very light blue like dress thing. So out of the corner of my eye, it just looked like a white figure. But when I looked at her, it was her. But years prior, I had seen like a white figure standing in that same spot, about the same height. And I was like, deja vu so hard. I have a spooky story there. Once lived a fox on the moon who came to Earth. That's Lunaura, run for your lives. You better run. You better run. I'ma get ya. Can I pet that dog? Yeah, it was crazy. I was like, I can't believe I felt like I saw like her standing there in that spot, but like before that happened. It was wild. The other thing is that at the time when I saw the white figure, my grandma was taller. She like got a lot shorter over time. Then there was the time that I was sleeping and I had a puppy. I had a little reddish brown Pomeranian puppy at the time. Trying to make us press spacebar. I did almost slap my keyboard. I'm like, ugh, my PTSD. I had a puppy and I was sleeping and I woke up because I felt like the scratching on the bed, and I wake up and I look and I just see like a little tiny dark figure that looked like the dog but up on its haunches, right? And like scratching at the bed. And I was like, what? What are you doing? Because I thought it was the puppy, but it was a lot bigger than my puppy. And I like looked away and then I looked back and it was gone. And I was like, what? Where'd she go? And then I sat up and I looked around and my puppy was asleep on my bed next to my pillow, like on the other side of the bed. So that was not her. And I was like, what the fuck? So then years later, I have another puppy, which was that big dog I was telling you guys about. And I was asleep and I hear scratch, scratch, scratch. And I woke up and I looked down and I saw the exact same little black figure in the dark, sitting up on its haunches, touching the bed. And it was her this time. It wasn't a figure, it was actually her. And I was like, oh, I saw this before. So what is that called? When you like see stuff that's gonna happen, but like before it happened, like years before it happened. What is that? So I told one of my friends about this and she called me a witch. So I don't know. Premonitions, premonition, precognition. Interesting. I've had that happen a lot. I've had it happen in dreams. Like when I was, I don't know, 6 or 7, I dreamed about being in an art class and like having a very specific like notebook at a very specific table, wearing something specific. And then years later, when I was in junior high and I was in art class, I was like, wait, it's happening. It's the thing that I saw in my dream. Crazy. Does that happen to anybody else? It's not just me, right? That happens. It's a thing, right? It's like that one urban legend about that person who wakes up and hangs the hand off the edge of the bed, and if her dog licks her hand, everything's okay, but it wasn't her dog. It was a person! There's a really weird theory that we're just watching a VOD of a life already lived. It do happen. Does it happen to you? That's interesting. Yeah, that's happened to me a bunch, where I'm like, I'll see something, and then I'll be like, oh, I've seen this. Seeing things from your dreams is so fucking surreal. Does that happen to you? But it'll be like years later. It's crazy. It's like, why does this happen? So weird. So weird, man. Yeah, I had a friend who I told about that happening to me, and she was like, I don't know about you no more. Had it a few times and you get gigantic deja vu. Isn't deja vu just a glitch in the Matrix? It is. It's a glitch. Or does someone randomly stand in the middle of weird places? I've seen several. It's so fucking weird every time. I feel like I don't remember my dreams as much anymore. Or I have like really traumatizing dreams about like zombies and shit. And it's weird because I really like zombie stuff, like zombie games. So I will say I do much better with like horror games and horror movies. Sometimes horror movies really like, ooh, I can't. It's too much. Like fucking things like, you've seen the shit I post about my dream. Yeah, you have some weirdo dreams. I mean, we all do. But I'll have like zombie dream or like the recurring bear nightmares. Why is that a thing? Me and my sister both had that. I don't know why. It's not like we didn't live anywhere with bears. So let's see. The stalking stories are the scariest. The real horror, right? The real scary stories are the real stories. The real ones. I am so glad I had like a big doggy though, protect me. It's like I said, I've thought about getting a German Shepherd to protect me and my little doggies. I feel like the problems that I have in recent years are more with people letting their dogs run around loose and the dogs trying to attack me or trying to attack my dogs, which is awful. The real scary stuff is what's actually happening. That's so true though, so often. Because it's like, what possesses someone to even do that? It's just so baffling to me every single time. I know! So that's why I like murder mysteries and stuff. Because, like, people are wild and it's like, what causes this? Like, what? Reality is stranger than fiction? Yeah. And it's just like, what possesses someone to do the things that they do? All it takes is one bad day. One bad day. But we have good days here with all the monster slaying we do. I will say I have been hearing a lot of fucking gunshots, and I don't know if that would be fly on Twitch. Twitch would be like, oh, excuse me, why are there gunshots in your VOD? And I'd be like, well, it's not me. I didn't do it. Dude, I swear someone was firing off an AR a few days ago. I was like, ugh, I want to. Why do people shoot radio towers? I'll never understand why people run out to the middle of nowhere and shoot at towers. Because, Colby, they're trying to read our mind. They're trying to get the radio waves and read your mind. Because your thoughts are so important, man. Literally because conspiracy theories mixed with alcohol. Kata has the wisdom. Oh, man. No, you're right, though. I don't know. What is a gun gonna do against a tower? Like, there's so many more things, if you want to damage it, that would damage it better. No, let me get my little pistol. My little 9mm. Look at that, I shot it, man. Fuck that thing. I showed it, didn't I, bro? The other dude's like, yeah, bro. Honestly, it would be more redneck talk. There's gunshot holes in the porta potty that's out there. Maybe it was just alcohol. Maybe their aim is so bad. They're like, I'm gonna shoot this tower. Oh, shoots the porta potty. Whoops. People are wild. Wild. I had a neighbor that would shoot a car in his yard, like for target practice, and I was like, can't that ricochet, sir? Mayhap, do not do the thing. Anyways. I wouldn't actually want to stream to Twitch and then have some crazy shootout happen nearby and then I have all these gunshot noises. Ugh. I don't know if I'd get banned for that or not. Or maybe you just have to say, I don't know. That's actually a concern. That's how often I hear gunshots. Actually, what's funny is that I've played enough like pew pew games that I recognize the sound of some guns now. And I'm like, it's a SMG or whatever. More stories? Yeah. Do you guys think I'm insane now? I don't usually talk about all that stuff with people because they go, like I said, I had someone call me a witch. I've had multiple people call me a witch. And then be like, I don't want to talk to you anymore. You're wild. And I'm like, it's not my fault that my grandparents' house was haunted. And that's where I grew up. And now I can't sleep. Ever. You're in the right place. Witches are cool. Oh my god, are we rebranding as a witch? I don't think you're insane. I think it's cool. It's like getting to know a friend better. Aw, a kitsune witch. We could be a witch. I actually want a witch outfit, like super badly. Witch fox sheep. Oh man, I'm just basically an eldritch horror at that point. But a cute one, right? I could have horns and a hat and big ears. Oh, the sky's the limit, guys. There's no limit. Witch shocked. Wait, if I was a Shox, would my ears be like this, but then I would also have horns? Like, basically, you just have, like, bigger ears. But anyway, I think I'm gonna end. My throat is sore. So let's see. It was nice, actually, streaming, just chatting, and, like, not having to play a game. My wrist doesn't even hurt. It was chill. Yeah, it was nice. I'm always impressed with the VTubers that can, like, do 9 hours just chatting. But it's honestly really nice. I feel like generally I don't have anything to talk about. But it's spooky month. We can talk about spooky stuff. Okay, love you guys. Have a good night. Bye. 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 Bye.